Okay, this is a quick tutorial on how to set up a vehicle using Maya to go into UDK. Now, I've been working on this over the last few weeks, and there are quite a lot of things that can go wrong, specifically with creating an FBX file from Maya to go into UDK. I just want to start off by going over how you set up Maya for use with UDK. First of all, with your display options for your grid, go in and set up something along these lines. So length and width, I've got 512 by 128 by 16. Okay, so this value 16 is going to give you grid units that should match what you get in UDK, and roughly a character in UDK is roughly about 6 of these blocks. Okay. Actually, before we do that, before we go any further though, as well, so you need to check the settings here. Make sure that Z is up, and actually make sure this is on meters. So it keeps on defaulting back to centimeters, even though I save it and save the preferences. It keeps on defaulting back. So do make sure that's on meters. And what you'll find happens is that your camera is no longer able to see the scene because the clip plane is set to narrowly. So what you do is you go in to View and Camera Attribute Editor, and just change the file clip plane to a higher value, say 10,000. Let's try that, see how that goes. And then when you zoom out now, there you go, you can see the scene. Okay, so basically Maya is kind of set up to work on a smaller scale really, whereas the game engine UDK, it works in meters. So yeah, so these blocks now, roughly about 6 of these would be equivalent to the height of a character in UDK. So before we go any further, I just want to check the distance on these. So you can use this thing, the distance tool, to just check the distance between these lines. 8. Right, okay, that's wrong. Right, okay, it should say 16. Right, let's go and check. So, okay, 256, 16, okay, I've got it on meters. Distance tool. $16, there we go, great, okay, that's right now. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so those grid values, sorry if I go back to that. Grid values 512 by 256 by 16. Okay, and that should give you correct units for UDK. Okay, so I'm just going to create a very simple box vehicle. Forward is X. Yeah, so that looks forward in UDK. So if I draw out a vehicle, there we go. Okay, that's a very simple box-shaped vehicle, and I'm just going to put that in the center. You might notice that Maya doesn't particularly like working in these kinds of units. The preview in your window there looks a bit odd, but there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, or you know, you can still use it perfectly fine. Right next to wheels. Okay, very simple wheels. Like I say, I'm not gonna make anything particularly sophisticated here. Okay, there we go. These mesh wheels are actually just for display. They don't actually affect the handling of the vehicle in UDK at all. It's only the rig. It's only the bones that actually affect the vehicle handling. So I'm not actually setting these wheels up kind of correctly. The correct measurements for them are about, I think it's a between 20 and 25 diameter. But I'm just quickly putting this together. I'm not really going to worry too much about the scaling of these. I'm actually going to make them a bit small because they are probably a bit big. There, okay, that's better. Okay, and I'll just make this shape a little bit. There we go. Okay, so like I say, this is just a test to get the, just to sort of show how you rig. I mean, obviously you can make a much better mesh than that. Okay, so let's actually put the skeleton in now. So to put the skeleton in, make sure you've got you're in animation mode, and go to skeleton and joint tool, and hold on, that's not what I want. Alright, okay, so that's not the window I'm after, is it? Don't think that's the window I'm after. Joint tool. Okay, well, this should be set up anyway, it's ready to go. Okay, so anyway, I'm just going to start creating my joints. So the way you create joints is you click once, then press return. Don't draw the bone out, yeah? We just would need a single sort of bone instance there without any length. Okay. Hold on, I'm just going to change this value as well because it makes it really difficult to see the bone otherwise. X8 joints, there we go. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so we need 5 of these bones. We need 1 for the vehicle body and 1 for each of the wheels. Now, there's an important little change you've got to make to this bone now, and this is one of the things you've really got to watch out for with UDK. I don't know why you have to do this, but if you don't do it, your vehicle will try to drive sideways, or the orientation will be completely wrong in UDK. Now, everything, like I say, everything needs to face forward on X. So X is forward, including our bones. If you change, but the root bone, the center bone here, you have to put the value 90 in there. If you don't put that value in, then when it imports into UDK, it will, the orientation of the vehicle will be completely wrong, and it's really frustrating trying to figure that out. Now we're also going to need to name the bones correctly, so this is going to be my root bone, and they need to be named correctly because we're going to use them in a script, or with a script. Okay, so just going to do snap to. You might find the snap to tool is a little bit more awkward with meters. Oh, it's not working too badly now. There we go. Okay. So there we go. That's that bone. There's that bone. There we go. Okay, right. So next up we just need to name them. So bearing in mind X is forward, so this way it's going forward. That's going to be FR tire. That's going to be BR tire. That's going to be BL tire. And this one here is FL tire. Okay. Right, now we need to set up the parenting. So the way you do that is that you've got your first bone selected there. Go to the root bone, and let's just, yeah, so parent, and just go connect. Okay, and then just go around and do that for the rest. If you press G, it'll just repeat what you last did. So select that bone there, then there, G. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, now next step. Now this is another kind of really annoying, I don't know whether it's a bug or what. The FBX file that's created by Maya will create an error if you don't delete the history. Okay, so I find at this stage it's best to go in and go delete all by type and do history. Okay, now that should get rid of the history for everything, and we should be able to create an FBX that will work in UDK. Okay, so next up is binding it to the mesh. So select the root bone, go bind, smooth bind, and here you want to change that from joint hierarchy to selected joints. I've ticked off allow multiple bind poses as well. Not that that'll make much difference, but it's worth ticking that off anyway. So bind skin. Okay. Then go around and just do the same for each wheel. So just select the joint, bind skin, sweep bind. Skin, sweep bind. Great, okay. Right, and if you just want to check that all works, then all you do is you select your rig there. Oh, hold on. Turn off the snap to. There you go. And you can check the wheels as well. So select a wheel and rotate it, and you should see the wheel rotates like that. Okay, great. So that all looks good. Right, now we go to the export. So export all, and it's FBX export. Again, there's a lot of settings in here you've got to check. If you don't check them, then you're going to get a lot of problems later. So smoothing groups, always make sure that's on if you're going to put this into UDK. Cameras and lights you don't need, so tick them off. Embed media, if you've got texture, if you've got materials and textures, you can leave that ticked on and they'll go through to UDK. This is important, right? Units, I always untick automatic and just manually put it on meters. And this is another very important one. For some reason, Maya will always default to try and put that on Y, even though the scene is already set up for Z axis up. Make sure that up is on Z manually in the FBX export, otherwise it will flip it back to Y. So the latest version, I'm using FBX 2013. That also makes a difference depending on the UDK version you're using. So here we go. So car UDK tutorial. Okay, I think I've remembered everything there. Okay. Great, so I'm going to put this on desktop. Great, okay, so it didn't generate any errors, so you can be fairly confident that that's going to work in UDK. Okay, so that's it for the Maya setup. I'm going to do the UDK setup now.